Welcome to this episode of the Jarrod Thomas Show podcast. By the way, I'd like for you to go ahead and subscribe and hit the little belly thing so you get notified, and that way you will never, ever, ever miss an episode. This is a headlines edition of the Jarrod Thomas Show, and to be honest with you, a little tougher to schedule guests last week. We had some network things going on with our computer system. Beyond that, you don't care. Just know this is my take on all the headlines over the last week or so. I watched in somewhat of, what's the right word? Would you say bemusement over this mural at the School for the Blind that's been stirring the controversy that's been going on in this great big community of ours? For those of you that maybe have been living under a rock, there's been a clash over a colorful mural that's been printed on the side of a garage at the North Dakota Vision Services School for the Blind, designed to raise awareness about vision problems and add beauty to the neighborhood. People are freaked out a little bit because there's a rainbow. And for those of you that don't know, a rainbow apparently is a popular sign used by the LGBTQ plus crowd. It's got people in a tizzy. They cannot believe that the city of Grand Forks would allow something like this to go up. Now, the city does what the city always does. Oh, geez, they should have asked for permit or permission to go ahead and do this, because it is frowned upon in this here city if you just go willy-nilly and start painting stuff all over buildings. Apparently, one of the major sins here, of course, is that it faces the street. Any time that you are thinking about whether or not you live in a nice-sized city or a big town, this is Hickville stuff. This is the kind of thing that should make you grab. If I had hair, I'd pull it out. It's obnoxious. Should they have asked for a permit? Yes. Rules are rules, and we need to abide by the rules, and blah, 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 and all the things. But the mural is beautiful. It is non-offensive, and it is something that we should be proud of. Now, of course, this is turning into a thing. Some say, we know there's people out there that could benefit from our services if they were made more aware of what we provide. We provide a lot of technology that can make people independent. So here's the School for the Blind saying, hey, this is going to help us. It's going to draw some attention to our building. Mayor Brandon Boczynski, he also voiced support for the mural. He said, I think it was an honest mistake and one that could be a teaching moment. Look at that. Everybody, an adult in the room. The mayor saying, hey, listen, it's a nice mural. But these are the kinds of things in this community that for years, I've been doing this now. I've been in radio in Grand Forks, North Dakota for 30 years. And there was a polka dotted house years back. Maybe some of you still remember the polka dotted house. In fact, I believe the house is still polka dotted. I was working for a different company at the time, and that house was right next door to where we were broadcasting from. And I thought, I wouldn't do that to my house. But what the hell? It's not my house. What do I care? And for those of you that are all twisted about what the rainbow means and what the rainbow doesn't mean and buddy, we got to get to a point to where we get past some of this stuff. Not everything is a political statement. Not everything is something that we need to get all twisted around the axle about. Not everything needs a president's endorsement. It's just a mural. It's just a mural. It doesn't mean anything. As the mayor said, teachable moment. Hey, this now you know, okay? Next time, make sure that you follow the proper permitting process, because really at issue, I think, is the city didn't get their couple $100 or whatever a permit would be to paint a mural. They just didn't get the money. So it's a teachable moment, as the mayor said. Let's bless this thing and move on. Topic number 2. This week was a big week. Dane Jackson did a couple of things. He went out to a small college and got himself a role player that is going to come to the University of North Dakota, I believe, be in uniform this year and get in there and be part of the line that mucks it up. I got to have one of those, right? That's how UND hockey seasons are built. But they also announced and then showed the world their brand new hockey jerseys. Now, here's the thing with UND men's hockey jerseys. For decades, and I will take this to my grave, for decades, the University of North Dakota men's hockey team, the University of North Dakota all sports, had the best logo in the history of logos. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think there's a logo that compares. Now, admittedly, I could be very, very biased here, but it's really hard to take a look at the old Fighting Sioux Indian Head logo and think there's anything like it in any sport anywhere else. Just a beautiful, beautiful logo. So this time around, we've gone to the block lettered. In fact, I believe there's a picture of it in the show notes for those of you that are maybe, again, missed this as well. Blocked North Dakota, of course, the business suits, which, of course, is some of the, I don't know how we got there and why we hang on to it, but the business suits got a bit of an upgrade, too. And my first thought was, nothing compares. Cue Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares. Nothing compares to the Fighting Sioux Indian Head logo. I suppose they're nice. I suppose they're clean. We're going to hang on to the NODAC. We're going to hang on to the North Dakota. We're going to take the numbers off the front of the jersey. We're going to put them on the back and on the sleeves. But here's the thing that I continue to believe to be beyond its time to get over it. I remember back when, I believe, interim president Ed Schaefer at the University of North Dakota said, "It's Fighting Hawks." I also then recall that then head football coach Bubba Schweigert was the first to say, "We're in. We're in. Put it on our helmets, put it on our jerseys, put it wherever you want. We're in. We're on board. Let's do this." The UND men's hockey team has been far and away the last group to get on board with the Fighting Hawk nickname. And again, I'm not a big Fighting Hawk guy either, but I do know this. The Fighting Hawk thing isn't going anywhere. The Fighting Hawk thing isn't, it's here. It's not, we have to move on. Yet the UND hockey team continues to minimize the logo, continues to minimize its presence on any of its jerseys or on any of its breezers or gloves or just about anywhere. In fact, it's hard to find it in the building until Darren Looker's booming voice, "Here's your University of North Dakota Fighting Hawks scoring." And beyond that, you don't really hear much of it during the course of a game. And when you do, of course, the knuckleheads in the crowd continue to yell, "Sue!" Because, again, back to the first topic, hillbilly stuff. It's what we do here. So I guess I would say the jerseys are an upgrade. The jerseys are clean. The jerseys look nice. I don't know if I'll be a big fan of them. The NODAC thing is sticking around. I haven't really ever gravitated towards the NODAC thing. But I guess, if I'm going to sit here and preach we got to get over it, then maybe I got to get over it. But I guess a point that I would make is twofold. First of all, the Fighting Hawk thing isn't going anywhere. It certainly would be nice, and it would be nice for the athletic programs at the University of North Dakota and beyond if they were to finally say, okay, we're the Fighting Hawks. You know what? And it's okay. Every time you enter the Ralph Engelstad Arena, it feels like you're entering the home of an ex-girlfriend because none of the pictures are down. All of the past is still alive and celebrating. And you know what? The past, if you're living in the past, that's depression. If you're living in the future, that's anxiety. It's time that we as a community and as the university live in the present. And let's just be the Fighting Hawks. And let's just move forward. And the University of North Dakota men's hockey team would certainly go a long ways in helping the university reach that goal. if in fact it's a goal. Doesn't feel like it is, and I suppose it's one of the benefits or one of the, I don't know if it's not really a benefit. I suppose it's one of the unintended consequences of continuing to inbred the coaching staff by never going outside of the program, because quite frankly, if you went outside the program, just wouldn't get it. It's just, culture, baby. We got to make sure that whoever's the head guy, and certainly who's ever going to be part of the program, is going to have been part of the program so they understand what it is that they got here. So it makes sense. Former players up and down the coaching roster are likely fighting Sioux guys through and through. I don't know that you could get them to tell you that. Certainly couldn't get them to tell you that on the record. But I think it's pretty evident that that's the case. Oh, and the other reason? Please loosen up. Blow the moss off those toads, those Hondos that you got in your wallet, and purchase the new gear. We call that a lift in the business. Perhaps that will give the athletic department, the Ralph Engelstad Arena, and all involved, especially those kids that have NIL deals, would get themselves brand spanking new gear. You would too, but then the kids would benefit. It's for the kids. Buy the jerseys for the kids, because we'd have more NIL money to spread around. At least a portion of it. Again, more details are down in those show notes for you. Now let's go here first. So these Canadian wildfires, I think most of us have been generally annoyed for the better part of the summer, the better part of what feels like the last 8 or 9 summers, by these Canadian wildfires. There's a couple of things about the Canadian wildfires that I think drive most of us absolutely crazy. The first being, they don't seem to do anything to put them out. They don't rake their forest floors. They just burn, baby, burn. And one of the things that I've learned in researching with the laser focus that it takes to put this podcast on each week is that they hide behind the fact that they are in what they think is a drought. Now, I don't know if you and I have lived here certainly the last, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. It doesn't feel very droughty around Grand Forks, North Dakota. But let's say, okay, so you've been in a drought. So what they're saying is, well, yeah, it's a drought. So if we don't get these fires out in February, March, and the first part of April, it's really, really difficult to put them out. So we just let them burn. It's an absolutely crazy way to approach this thing. It's a liberal way to approach this thing. Roughly 3,400 wildfires have destroyed almost 15 million acres of land in Canada as of Thursday, says a fire researcher at the Northern Forestry Center. His agency, which is part of a government-run Natural Resources Canada, was tracking it. 560 active fires are currently going on in Canada. There's probably a couple of months of the burning season left, so the total will continue to grow, he said, just kind of with a, what do you want me to do about it kind of look. Forecasters have suggested that August, which is, of course, right around the corner, will be a fairly active month. Now, we're starting to see a weather pattern that might produce more fire in the westmost regions, British Columbia, maybe parts of Alberta. No real signs of generous rain for the active fire areas, so those are going to keep going for a while still. It's beyond. It doesn't satisfy the senses that would be your strategy. It's just going to burn, so we're just going to let it burn. The fires are largely in west central Canada, including Saskatchewan and Manitoba. 2 provinces are north and west. Winds from the north, especially behind a cold front, can bring smoky air and a perfect trajectory. That, according to some meteorologists, persistent drought conditions in the Canadian prairies fuel the potential for more fires in the country. When you have that cooler air mass building in, that cooler air wants to sink. Even if that wildfire smoke is high in the atmosphere, the cool air kind of helps drag that wildfire smoke down closer to the surface. Minnesota has issued air quality alerts as of last Wednesday that lasted through Friday, with north and central parts of the state seeing unhealthy air. North Dakota doesn't have a department that issues air quality alerts, but Minnesota data may offer some insight. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency issued its first hazardous air quality alert in early June for northwest Minnesota, including east side. This year, Minnesota has recorded 1 day of very unhealthy air quality, 6 days of unhealthy, and 8 days of unhealthy for sensitive people. In 2023, the Minnesota agency issued 21 air quality alerts that spanned 52 calendar days. That's a state record. That included 17 alerts related to wildfires, and 10 days reached unhealthy levels. Last year brought 6 air quality alerts in Minnesota that lasted a total of 14 days. All contributed to wildfire smoke. 3 ranked in the unhealthy category. Canada, on average, gets 5,000 to 6,000 wildfires a year. In 2023, 6,800 blazes turned a 33-year high of more than 42.7 million acres. Last year, more than 5,600 wildfires destroyed 13 million acres, making it the second worst season since 1995. Wildfires this year have surpassed that number. It's truly remarkable, they say. So what's the cause? Well, most of Western and Central Canada is experiencing some type of drought. In some areas, the drought is severe, which happens about every 20 years. Persistent Arctic high-pressure systems brought dry weather and hampered precipitation since March. The blazes can be extinguished quickly if caught early. Some fires may be left to burn in areas where few people live, like in northern Canada. So that's the other thing. Just let it burn, right? There's also something called zombie fires. Zombie fires carry out over the 2024 season. They are blazes that are smoldered under snow in Alberta and British Columbia before reigniting in the late winter and spring. That's according to media reports. So it just lays kind of dormant, and then when the snow melts away, the fires just apparently automatically start up again, something called a zombie fire. The other part about this, too, and I think that's most frustrating for most people that certainly live in this area of the world, is that Canada doesn't seem to be really too concerned about it. Hey, man, it's a drought. Deal with it. Get on with it. It's going to be okay. Just do your thing. But for most of us, it's a hindrance. Maybe you know that I like to golf. I wish I golfed better, but I like to golf. And the thing about it is that there's days when it's hard to see a white golf ball in the sky. Our summer days and our summer months, which most I think would agree are very, very short, are hampered by this. And if you have any sort of breathing issue at all, this is going to affect you. Yet here we are. Canada's relationship with the United States has certainly changed a lot. It's I think you could say, and I would rightfully paint it as strained, certainly with some of the things that the president has said and some of the changes that Canada has been going through in their administration. But make no mistake about it, this isn't a big deal to them. This is just the way that it is. When they're in a drought, there's forest fires. When they're not in a drought, there isn't forest fires. Apparently, we suffer along with them, but they just don't care to do anything about it. Let nature be nature. Right? Art organizations are upset. The budget is in the city of Grand Forks. And what's being revealed is that there's, I believe, 17 different agencies in our community that may suffer if the budget passes. The budget says that some $310,000 that was earmarked to be given to agencies like the North Dakota Ballet Company, like SPA, like think about arts and crafts type. Here, I can get you a list. The Grand Forks Children's Choir is another. Art Matters, Artwise, Empire Arts, Grand Forks Choral, Greater Grand Forks Community Theater, Fire Hall Theater, Greater Grand Forks Symphony Orchestra, Muddy Waters, Clay Center, North Dakota Museum of Art, North Dakota Shakespeare, Northern Valley Youth Orchestras, the Public Arts Commission, and the Empty State Theater and Theater Without Walls are all organizations that benefit from a re-grant. So what the city does is it takes a portion of your taxpayer dollars, and in this case, it takes a portion of your sales tax dollars and pushes them into an account. Then, in the past anyway, they've hired the Community Foundation. Community Foundation charges them a fee, of course, and then the Community Foundation turns and distributes the money appropriately. These agencies have forms that they have to fill out, And then the community foundation and its director take all of that into account, and then they award you money. Some of these organizations that I just referenced live on this cash. Now, it's not the only cash they get. Of course, some fundraise. Some have shows where they charge a price for tickets. There's always Giving Hearts Day. There's a lot of different ways that they go about earning money. But this would be very detrimental to them. And it's curious, right? What is it? 1% of a $35 million, $38 million sales tax haul that the city gets every year. Some of that money, as you know, is going into the All-True Sports Complex that's currently being constructed on 42nd Avenue, just south of the Allaire Center. You can drive by and see that. And here's the thing about that, too. We know day one that when they turn the key to open that door, it's not going to make any money. It's not designed to make any money. And the taxpayer seemed to be okay with that. Now, to be fair, the taxpayer didn't say, build something that doesn't make money. What the taxpayer said was, you can take that sales tax that was going for capital improvements at the Allaire Center, and you can split it up and then take the notion that it's going to be sunset at any point in time away. It's going to be forever a sales tax. It's going to be forever a thing, as the kids say. So with that in mind, think of it this way. How come the athletics get a whole new facility, but the arts can't seem to get $310,000 for their thing? Are we just a community that only cares about sports, or are we a community that wants and is interested in opportunities for all of our citizens, in particular our children? If we're interested in for everybody, then you could make a compelling argument that this can't go away. Can't. And this is another conversation that's being had, I think, internally is, what about the Children's Museum? Now, I think these are all great ideas. The All-True Sports Complex, good idea. Children's Museum, good idea. Allaire Center, good idea. All of these different arts programs, good idea. And to take that money away from them seems like a god-awful idea. Budget isn't passed yet, but I think it's important to raise awareness to these type of topics, in part because it's going to be very difficult for these organizations to survive, and our community will be less than. Now, am I a big take all of the money and put it in our pocket and save it where you can? You know, the older I get, the softer maybe I get a little bit on this topic, in part because I just don't want to see kids not have the opportunity. We went to 2 spa shows this year. Both were fantastic. And if you ever are questioning if there's any talented kids in this community, my God, go check out Spa. This past weekend, we went and saw Fame. That was a Frostfire production with a lot of former local Spa kids in it. A fantastic, amazing show. These are the type of things that we are getting into our community, and by proxy, it's happening because they have opportunities to develop their skills in things like Spa and in things like Grand Corral, right? The Empty State Theater and Theater Without Walls. All of these are opportunities for these kids to scratch the itch. And it's amazing that that's a place that we would go to look to save money. Now, to be fair, there's a state-mandated 3% cap on property tax levy growth. From year to year, the mayor had directed for increased sustainability as the city crafted its budget. It limits the city's ability to respond to changes in economic conditions and changes its cost of running city services. So the mayor, I think, would say, if he was sitting over there, he might say, well, what do you want me to do? Everybody's ox is sacred until it's time to gore it. Everybody wants the city to be streamlined and run like a business until tough decisions start to get made, and then we get pissed. Mayor's not wrong. He would certainly be right in saying that, yes, do whatever you want, just don't gore my ox. He's right about that. But I think when you're the mayor or when you're in any elected position, what you do is you put your hand in the air and you start with the messaging of something similar to what I just said. Listen, the state is tying our hands a bit with what we can do with the property tax levy growth. Okay? So we're just trying to do the best we can with the money that we have available to us. To that end, it means that this particular ox is going to get gored. And you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And sometimes you just have to be damned and hope that people don't necessarily remember it when it comes time to vote, if in fact you want to continue to run for office. But this one seems a little bit like, we've got money for all of these other things, and millions of it, but we can't find $300 and some odd thousand to give back to the arts community that helps enrich our lives. I hope they reconsider. I hope. And finally, this one is big. The Alaris Center has decided that they're going to be a cashless facility beginning September the 6th. Oakview Group, the provider of venue management, food service, and hospitality, and partnership at the Alaris Center, announces an effort to improve speed of service and elevate the overall guest experience. The Alaris Center will adopt a cashless model beginning in the fall. Starting with the University of North Dakota football home opener, Saturday, September 6th, most purchases made inside the Alaris will be cash-free. Parking, along with the majority of concession stands, will now only accept debit, credit, prepaid cards, and gift cards. The shift is designed to streamline transactions at concession stands and other point-of-sale locations in the arena and in the conference center, reducing wait times and improving operational efficiency. Limited cash options will be available for private events, such as weddings, banquets, trade shows, and more. To ensure accessibility for all guests, cash exchange locations will be available at both the Trans-Systems box office and guest services, where patrons can convert cash into prepaid cards. Cash will still be accepted when purchasing tickets directly at the Trans-Systems box office. This transition allows us to provide a faster, more seamless experience for everyone attending events at the Alaris Center. At the same time, we're committed to maintaining options for guests who prefer to use cash. In the interest of full disclosure, I am the current chair of the Alaris Center Commission. And I can tell you that this has been talked about. I won't say it's been something that's been talked about a lot, but I think what Anna and Oakview did was they waited till some of the bugs were out. They waited until there were some examples of some other buildings in the country, not necessarily Grand Forks or even North Dakota, but in the country that were kind of the test pilots first. Now, here again, this is a change. We don't like change. But I'm telling you, they're playing to their strengths here. It is better from the standpoint of making mistakes. It's better operationally in that your things, you run your card, it happens right away. That's a better mousetrap than you're dropping cash all over the place, and now somebody's got to make change, and it's just run your card, move on. Run your card, move on. Run your card, move on. Look, I would bet on Anna and her group. They're pretty good at what they do. If this is the way to go, it's the way to go. Just bring your card with you. You're going to be fine. I'm a little old school too. I like to have cash with me. More than anything to pay off my golfing debts. But I like to have cash with me. Have some cash with you. It'll be accepted in some places. But largely speaking, I think what you're going to find is that the card and the running of the card is just the better mousetrap. This isn't going to be that big of a deal, I promise you. But you got to go into it with an open mind. This podcast is found absolutely, positively anywhere that podcasts are found. I encourage you to go ahead and like and share and tap that little bell so that anytime there's content to this particular space, you will get it. I'm Jarrod Thomas. The Jarrod Thomas Show podcast. Thank you. I appreciate your attention to these matters.